What's up, my friends? How are you guys doing today? Welcome back and thank you for stopping in. As always, it means the world to this old black heart that you stop in and hang out and talk with me about movies for a little while. Guys, today we're talking about a documentary from 2024. I was actually half tempted to kick in on the Kickstarter for this just so I could get a copy of it. And now I can't find a physical one after I've seen the streaming version. So it sucks. I should have jumped on it when I had the chance. But anyway, guys, today we are talking about Aliens Expanded. Before we get into the xenomorph and all its glory and the absolute banger of a sequel that this is to such an original classic, hit that like and subscribe button for me. Today, guys, like I said, Aliens Expanded. Let's talk about it. Let's get down to brass tacks, shall we? So, I've always been a very big fan of the Alien franchise. Ever since I was a tiny dude, like 8 or 9 years old, the first Alien scared the pee-pee out of me. And ever since then, I've been hooked on that franchise. Not only does the monster look awesome, it is one of the most memorable and unforgettable creatures in all of cinema, but the first 2, even 3 Alien films had, in my opinion, one of the best trilogy stories. Now, a lot of people will complain about Alien 3 killing off Newton Hicks, and but it still was a continuation of the original Alien story. From Ellen Ripley being on the Nostromo, to Ellen Ripley being picked up and going back with the crew of Marines on the Sulaco, to winding up on Fioria 161. It is, in my opinion, a perfect trilogy. Now, what Aliens Expanded does, Aliens is one of, so James Cameron makes some of the best movies ever created, especially science fiction and action films. The Terminator, Aliens, Terminator 2, Avatar, True Lies. I mean, he has come with some of the best cinematic adventures, aside from Steven Spielberg, that there have ever been told, right? And Aliens is the sequel to Alien, as you know, but it is also regarded as one of the best sequels ever created. And if I'm being honest, Aliens and Terminator 2 and Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back are the 3 best sequels to a film ever made, right? And in some ways, better than the original film in which they are a sequel to. And so, Aliens to me has always been like one of my top 5 favorite films. My top 5 are interchangeable. I've got Gladiator with Russell Crowe. I've got Aliens. I've got Predator. I've got Pitch Black. And I'm not going to tell you what my 5th one is. But I have got those films in my top list of all-time favorite films to watch. If I'm having a crappy day, throw on Aliens or Predator or Gladiator. Those are my films. And Aliens has been that way since I was little. And when I was coming up in college, we were all a bunch of film nerds and journalism nerds. And we all had our film nights on Fridays. And we'd all go over to a buddy's house and we'd all rent a film and we'd watch it. We'd be up to 3 in the morning watching everybody's movies. And we all came to a consensus that Aliens is one of the best entries in the entire franchise, if not the best. And it has so many memorable lines. It has so many memorable characters. And what Aliens Expanded does is it just expounds on everything that you ever wanted to know about the movie Aliens, from Drake and Vasquez's, relationship, to Carter Burke and his actual motivations told to you by Jim Cameron. Jim Cameron's stories of his experiences making Aliens, and the turmoil and the crew tension and just all the things that had to come together, the alignment of the stars, if you will, for Aliens to actually be made. He was in England. Him and the English crew didn't get along because they all worshipped Sir Ridley Scott and the ground he walked on, and they kept talking smack to Jim. And finally, Jim basically kicked a catering table over and said, "Do it or I'm canceling it and we're going back to America. And he basically whipped him into shape. I mean, James Cameron has been known to be kind of a prick on set. But when you hear the stories, how he tells them, and you hear the stories from other cast members, other prominent cast members, you realize that he was kind of fighting against the odds to get this made, because the English crew was almost against him, you know? And he kicked that catering tray over and he told everybody, he said, no more tea breaks, no more of this bull crap. Either do your job, I'm taking it back to America, and all of you are unemployed. That's basically what he said. And he got the film back under control, got stuff rolling, and gave us something special. James Remar was supposed to play Michael Biehn's character. And we only see James Remar. Now, everybody who's an Alien fan knows this. As an Aliens fan, you know that James Remar was originally cast as Hicks. But we only see the back of him. Turns out, we hear from Gale and Hurd in this documentary that he got caught with an 8 ball of speed, some cocaine, and some drugs, and all kinds of stuff on him. And they basically had to get him deported to keep him from going to prison in England. And so that's why Michael Biehn got the role. It wasn't because of some scheduling issue or something. No, James Remar was a piece of trash, drug addict, and they had to get rid of him because he was bringing everything down. This documentary explains so much about the making of Aliens, the chemistry, the special effects, and the reason that Alien and Aliens have aged as well as they have, and why generations from now people will still be watching those films, is because of those practical, sweet, beautiful practical effects. Animatronics, puppeteers, miniatures. It stands the test of time. Now, there are some sequences that are very much dated looking. But for the most part, James Cameron gives us this present-future look to his films that make it seem like they wouldn't be all that far off in the future. They're not some crazy distance like 3,000 years or something, you know? So everything... It gives us, like, for instance, they speak about warning bars. You know, it's like the yellow with the black slashes going across it. That's like a universal, like, hold on, wait a minute. It's one of those signs. And he adds those in there just to give us subconsciously, like, we don't realize it as the watcher, but subconsciously give us recognizable things in our own world. He tries to make it present where it resonates with the audience. And it tells about his filmmaking, like, process, and just all these different things that he does, that the actors do, the backstories behind characters, the backstories behind the production. This is a 5-hour documentary. I had to watch it in over like 2 or 3 days because, you know, life, you got things to do. You can't sit for 5 hours watching something unless it's like a lazy Sunday or something after church. But, you know, middle of the week, you ain't watching a 5-hour documentary. But I watched it, and man, I wish that I would have put in money for that Kickstarter, donated my $20 or whatever, just so I could have gotten a copy of this, because now it's virtually impossible to find a physical copy, and this is definitely one of the best documentaries on a film I have ever seen. You know, they have these In Search of Darkness documentaries about 1980s horror films. It's a 3 documentary series. It's like 8 hours long, right? I bought those after I watched them on, I think it was Prime or something like that. Or it was AMC or Shudder. I watched those, you know, it was like 9 hours of documentary. And those were some of the most detailed, best documentaries on a decade of films ever made. A genre, a decade, genre, whatever you want to say. That was the best documentary I've ever seen. And if you've seen those, if you've seen them, you know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And Aliens Expanded does for Aliens what In Search of Darkness did for 1980s horror films documentary-wise. It tells you so much that you would have never known unless you had watched this, or unless you're some kind of crazy, weird super fan with an internet implant in your brain and you got AI or something in your nostril. I'm just saying, check it out, guys. Aliens Expanded is worth your time, worth your money if you can find it to purchase. If you're an Alien franchise fan, if you're an Aliens fan, this is something you absolutely must see, guys. That's it for Aliens Expanded. Thank you so much for hanging around with me today, guys, and talking about it for a little while. I hope wherever you're at and whatever you're doing, you're striving, you're thriving. You know, I hope you're looking good, feeling good, loving yourself and loving the ones you're with, because that is what it is all about. Thank you for hanging out. Hit that like and subscribe button on the way out. And as always, my friends, I'm going to keep making them as long as you keep watching them. Peace out. God bless you, and I will see you soon.